Hi there, this is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, and welcome to another episode of Double Take. Today's Double Take, we're going to look at two Charles Dance performances in cheesy films. So we have Last Action Hero, where he plays Mr. Benedict, the right-hand man to Anthony Quinn's villain Vivaldi, that's from 1993, and The Golden Child, where he plays Sardo Numspa, who is pretty much a demon, and this is from 1986. Both these films don't get a lot of respect for various different reasons, but I do believe Charles Dance's performances should get some respect. Everybody talks about Alan Rickman's villainous performance as Hans Gruber in Die Hard, which is deserved, and Alan Rickman is the only thing worth watching in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves. But nobody really mentions these two Charles Dance performances, which are just wonderful. Charles Dance started off doing slightly romantic roles in TV and later film. He plays lots of authoritarian roles, members of the military, the police force, upper class characters, judges, so forth. Whereas these two films, he gets to have some fun, and he really relishes these roles. So we'll start with The Golden Child, which was an Eddie Murphy vehicle from 1986, directed by Michael Ritchie, who did a string of kind of mainstream, solid American films. You kind of forget how big Eddie Murphy actually was in the mid-80s. Obviously had his stand-up and then got into acting, and he's still doing good work to this day. But in this period he was pretty much just playing Eddie Murphy in these films. It's complete nonsense about a child who's picked to be the Dalai Lama gets kidnapped by Charles Dance's demonic character who wants to destroy him to let evil rule the world. I actually saw this in the cinema all those years ago, and I've always had a soft spot for it, even though it's complete nonsense and complete cheese. But one of the main reasons is Charles Dance's performance. He is kind of channeling Christopher Lee from The Devil Rides Out. It's all cheekbones and his perfectly shaped beard and his eyes. He has lots of wonderful death stares at Eddie Murphy during the film, because here he is, he's a demon, he's all powerful, and Eddie Murphy just takes him lightly and laughs at him a lot. So obviously it's quite vexing if you're a demon and people just aren't taking you seriously. So he has wonderful death stares at Eddie Murphy during this film. He's having lots of fun, but he doesn't overdo it. It's still a very controlled performance. Also, we'll talk about Last Action Hero, and that's a little bit more physical and over the top. Whereas The Golden Child is still that kind of reserved character. He almost speaks through clenched teeth at times. He is a very tall man, so his physical presence, plus he wears a kind of large leather coat for lots of the time on top of a suit, so he's even bigger. He towers over characters during the film. I enjoy it. not many other people do, but it's just fun cheese, and it's a wonderful Charles Dance performance. This is the HMV Premium Collection, and it does actually have a making of from the time, and it's quite funny because Eddie Murphy does spout those immortal words that we always hear from actors on behind the scenes on set interviews. He literally says it's the best script he's ever read, which I kind of have to have a giggle about, because just about every actor who says that always says on behind the scenes making of featurettes, this is the best script I've ever read, it's the best director I've ever worked with. It's quite funny. So let's go to 1993's Last Action Hero, directed by John McTiernan. Mostly panned when it came out because it was satirising the very films that made Schwarzenegger famous. Lots of action fans were upset about it because it was poking fun at the genre that they love. Even though if you watch Predator, directed by McTiernan, there's a scene where all the guys are shooting the jungle for about 5 minutes and is focusing on the guns. And if you listen to McTiernan's commentary, he pretty much says he's taking the piss out of action films in that scene. So it's not any surprise that McTiernan would direct this. It was kind of the first suggestion that Schwarzenegger was maybe a little bit smarter than we gave him credit for, by actually satirising the thing that made him famous. There's so many in-jokes, for example, Sylvester Stallone on the poster of Terminator 2, not Schwarzenegger, because he's the character Jack Slater in the action films. It's only when he comes out in the real world he's aware that he's actually played by Schwarzenegger, or Arnold Braunsteiger as he mispronounces it. But again, this is less about the film and more about Charles Dance. He plays Mr. Benedict, like I said, the sidekick or lieutenant to Anthony Quinn's mafiosa, who we're introduced to at the start reading the Financial Times, which I think is a nice touch. He has, again, a wonderfully shaped beard, and he wears sunglasses that are kind of brownish, which almost match the colour of his hair, which again is a nice touch, not just to have the stereotypical black sunglasses. And obviously he uses contact lenses, so it's a bullseye and a smiley face one for the classic have a nice day scene. You can tell he's intelligent, he's in complete control of who he is and what he is. He kind of looks down on Anthony Quinn. He's always correcting Anthony Quinn when Anthony Quinn's character is continually screwing up phrases like, "Oh, I don't want to be your fourth wheel," and Charles Dance in the background is like, it's a fifth wheel. So he's kind of annoyed that he has to work for this guy, but then obviously when he gets the chance to go to the real world, he relishes that opportunity. He has the classic, if God was a villain, he'd be me. And again, this is a much more over-the-top performance by Dance, because the whole film is over the top. That's the kind of the point. So it's a much more physical performance. Obviously, he has the prop of these sunglasses, which go on and off quite a lot. He uses his arms more, he uses his body more. Whereas, I said, the Golden Child is a much more reserved, all eyes and cheekbones performance. This one he's having an absolute blast. Again, he has a physical presence. There's a wonderful moment where the kid in the film, who is a little bit annoying, says, he challenges Dance. If he hurts a hair on another character's head, there'll be trouble. And Dance immediately stops the action and pulls a hair and breaks it, and then challenges the kid to now what you can do. It's just such a great performance. It's the best thing in the film. I do have a soft spot for Last Action Hero as well. Again, I think it was just misunderstood. It does have one of the funniest lines in cinema history, where Schwarzenegger walks up to somebody and says, "I heard you want to be a farmer, here's a couple of acres," and kicks him in the testicles. It's just one of the greatest moments in cinema history. There's so many great lines, the self-awareness, the Schwarzenegger doing Hamlet, with the to be or not to be speech, or not the speech, just to be or not to be. And he says not to be and blows something up, even though that speech is actually about suicide, so it's almost like Schwarzenegger doesn't want to live. But again, I'm not sure why Charles Dance's performance in this is kind of not really talked about as much, because it's one of the great villain turns, especially at the end of the film when he's talking about, he's now in this real world where the bad guys actually get to win. There's a wonderful scene where he kind of realises that you can do things and the police don't immediately come. He shoots somebody in the street and then proclaims to everybody that he shot somebody on purpose, and he's waiting for the police to come, and of course they never do. Obviously he still doesn't win because it's still a film, even though it's a film within a film within a film. But nevertheless, he does have tremendous fun doing it. So if you haven't seen these films for a while, or you're not really a fan of them, you should give them another chance just for Charles Dance's performance. He's also wonderful in Alien 3. I prefer the studio cut of Alien 3, the work cut, because there's more Charles Dance in it. And it's just refreshing to see him in these two films where he's not the kind of starchy authoritarian figure. He proves that he's got swag. He proves that he can play villainous roles just as well. And again, especially in The Golden Child, his death stares are amazing. So just a daft video about Charles Dance being really good into cheesy films that people perhaps don't give much credit to, but his performance is just fantastic, and one of the many or few reasons why you should watch them, depending on your viewpoint. So that's Charles Dance in The Golden Child playing a demon, and Last Action Hero playing a gun-toting psychopath. So thanks very much for watching. Please leave your comments below and what you think of The Golden Child and Last Action Hero. Try not to be too nasty. And hopefully you'll join me again for another episode of Double Take. This is Solitary Ronin from Solitary Ronin Films, saying farewell.